Good evening, councillors. Good evening, members of the public in the gallery. I welcome you to the final meeting of the councillors for this term. This meeting will be live streamed via Zoom webinar facilities. Recordings of council meetings or parts thereof cannot be copied, recorded, reproduced, reused or transmitted without the prior written consent of the General Manager. This meeting is being recorded and will be made publicly available on Council's website. Persons attending the meeting should refrain from making any defamatory statements. I'll just make a note that the Mayor, Mayor Kellen, is attending via Zoom this evening, but because of health issues, as a Deputy Mayor, I will be chairing the meeting. Acknowledgement of country. Council acknowledges that the meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Wiradjuri, Gundungurra and Darug people and respects the history and cultures of the elders, both past and present. This evening, the prayer will be given by James Toogood of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Upstand. And Johnny Life. Sorry, both of you.
Yeah.
We'll have a joint prayer. Thank you.
He will start and I'll give the benediction. Thank you, brother.
Let's pray. Our loving Father, we thank you for the freedoms that we enjoy in this country, in this wonderful country of Australia. As we gather here this evening, we're particularly thankful for the freedoms in our political process. Thank you for the wonderful town of Oberon, for its beauty, for the friendly and loving community that we enjoy, and for all the opportunities that our town brings to those who call it home. Thank you for the rain that we've been enjoying, and ask that you continue to bless our farmers with more. We bring before you each of our town's elected councillors this evening as their last meeting in this term. Thank you for their commitment to serving our town and its people. Bless each one as they fulfil their commitment to this office. In your strength, might they govern with honesty and integrity. We ask your blessing on this meeting this evening, that the decisions made here would be in the interest of our town and its thriving, which is ultimately under your care. Give all those here present wisdom and discernment that they need for all the needs to be achieved at this meeting this evening. We ask all these things in the name of Jesus, our Saviour. Amen.
Father God, what a wonderful privilege. Belong to a town area where the council acknowledges that there is a God above all and the freedom of faith from various different perspectives. What a grand illustration of how you help and work with us as councils wrestle with competing interests and all the different problems and things like that. And Johnny and I share in prayer for our last meeting. May you bless each one in their work from here on and then in the new term too. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Eloise.
There we go.
This evening, I note that all councillors are present for this meeting, with the Mayor being present via Zoom. I remind councillors that declaration of interest. Are there any pecuniary or non-pecuniary declarations of interest this evening by councillors? Sorry? I assume there's none from anyone, so please note no declarations of interest. Thank you. There are no presentations listed for this evening. Are there any questions from the public? And I'd remind members of the public about the rules regarding questions from the public. Are there any questions? Yes, thank you. Please come forward.
Michael Cantaris, a resident of Oberon. I just want to take this opportunity, as this is going to be the last sitting of this actual council, to say thank you for some of the decisions that you have made, in particular preserving the reserve at the top of the hill. I think that's wonderful, and I'm really grateful to those councillors that have preserved that piece of land. Secondly, I'd just like to ask, because I think it was 4 years ago that fluoride was introduced into this town, and that was a very controversial and divisive decision that happened in Oberon. In that 4 years, or up until now, are there any measures to say that program has actually been successful? That's my first question. And then secondly, I'd just like to ask, does council get any financial incentives to not put any roadblocks against the Pine Wind Farm project. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I think we'll take those questions on notice and provide an answer in due course.
Yes.
Yes,
When things are on notice, how does then the public find out the answers?
Timeframe.
So through the chair, as we previously corresponded, Michael, I'll give you those answers. I'll provide them to council when they do. Sometimes we do them publicly. There is a number of ways that we do this,
Okay.
but in this instance, I'll respond to you in accordance with the answers to the questions you've
Thank you.
posed.
are there any other questions from the public? There are no other questions from the public. We'll move on to item 8, confirmation of the minutes. The recommendation is the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on 16th of July 2024 to be confirmed. Mover, please. Member Hayden, Councillor Hayden, and Councillor Tremblay seconded. Thanks. Yeah. I think we can see the issue I raised with that. So I think the only note is that in relation to the minutes, as raised with the general manager, in relation to the ARIC report, which is item 12.3 in those minutes, what is noted as an amendment was actually an alternate motion rather than an amendment. That's on page, council, that's on page 21. So subject to that, are you happy with that?
Yes, I'm happy to move the minutes.
And you're happy with that slight change?
I'm happy.
As a second move, so yes. You're happy to move?
Yes, as I was trying to say, I'm happy to move the minutes with the minor amendment to what's on page 21 and nothing further.
Councillor Tremblay?
I'm happy to second it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillors? I put the recommendation, all in favour? Carried unanimously, thank you. Now move to item 9, which is the mayoral minute and report. The recommendation is the report item 9.01 is received as information. Could I have a mover, please? Mayor is moving it
I'm happy to second that.
and seconded by Councillor Hayden. Would you like to speak to this, Mayor?
First off, thank you, Chair. For the information of councillors, I've perhaps been exposed to some pneumonia bacteria, and I have some symptoms, and that's my reason for absenting myself from the chambers tonight. I don't want to inadvertently infect anyone. That's all I have to say. The mayoral minute has got the resume of meetings, representation and correspondence. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, if I may ask through the chair to the mayor, I just wanted to get a little bit of an update on the 24th of July, Central West Forestry Hub Road project. I'd like a little clarification around that, if I may, as well as.
We'll do it one at a time.
Okay, yeah.
The Central West Forestry Hub has a project running to look at the fitness for purpose of the main haulage. The first set of highways they're looking at are Jenolan Caves Road to Millionth Acre and then Duck Malloy Road. And we were getting an update on how they were approaching that. It is not a haven't got a final answer yet, but basically they've looked at the number of vehicles that travel on that road, the size of vehicles, and the speed limits, the areas where the road is considered to be below standard. And at the end of the day, we'll have a report which will provide us and others with an ability to go to Transport for New South Wales and the ministerial transport ministers and say, here's a independent report on the road and what needs to be fixed.
Okay, thank you. And then further on to the 31st of July, I think this is the second meeting that you've had regarding the Black Springs cell tower. Just a brief update on that, if I could get one, please.
And I note there's correspondence on the 1st of August following that meeting. You want to deal with those both?
Yes, please.
The cell tower meeting was with Telstra and Andrew G. And members of the community association. The proposition we have is that we have looked carefully at a couple of areas, and there is actually an area where there is a piece of road reserve, which we think we can put the cell tower on. There was some pushback from Telstra, who were talking about the money being taken back by the federal government. That's not the case, and at the moment we're trying to get that progressed, and Andrew G is doing the same thing. And we sent some correspondence on the day after that meeting. But it is it's probably a more viable location than we've been able to come up with previously, and I have some hope that this will come through this time.
Okay, thank you. There'll only be one more question, but I did want to say the representation at the sub-branches with Afghanistan, Iraq and Arabian Gulf service, that was fantastic, and the SCOTA and TATRA annual dinner that I attended on your behalf was fantastic as well. I did have a question around Country Mayors Association and the essential energy presentation for that, and that's the last one, please.
I didn't end up attending Country Mayors because I was starting to have symptoms.
Yeah.
And the essential energy was on the same part. So I think the best person to answer that is probably the General Manager.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so through the chair, it's correspondence that's been received on behalf of Telstra through an initiative from Country Mayors. We can send you that correspondence should you require. Yeah.
Thank you. Nothing
Okay,
further.
thank you.
Second.
Okay. Anyone else got anything on this? So I put the recommendation that report item 9.01 is received as information. All in favour? Passed unanimously. We go to item 10, and there is 110.1, which is a notice of motion. The council acknowledges and thanks the Mayor Mark Kellam for his service to the Oberon community during his 2 terms on council and his last term as mayor. I will put it. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Watt. The reason for this is that many of you know that the mayor is not standing again, and I think that it's very important we acknowledge the work that Mark has done in his position as mayor and in his position in the first as a councillor and deputy mayor in his first term. And there has been a number of considerable projects that have occurred during his time in council, and in particular as his time as mayor. And I think it's up to us as and I think it should be acknowledged by this council that we have benefited, and the Oberon community has benefited from his leadership. Any further discussion on this matter, please? Oh, sorry, Councillor Watt, yes, sorry.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, look, I'm really pleased to second this motion. I think the Mayor has done a wonderful job. He has worked, he's really put his heart and soul into the community, and I've found him to be a wonderful leader of the community, and it's been a pleasure working with him on this term of council. So I'd like to add my thanks.
Thank you. Other councillors?
Yeah, I would just like to,
Sorry.
just to thank him for his guidance and safe hands. And in particular, his work with the JO and the country mayors.
Yes.
I think that's been outstanding, ensuring that we have a voice at the table, advocating for funds and resources for our regions. And in particular, his work with the planning minister to ensure that we have a fair playing ground here in the region. So wish him well with his next chapter, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Councillor Hayden?
Yes, as the mayor well acknowledges, we certainly don't see eye to eye, and we have significant challenges between the both of us. I wish the mayor well. I actually don't think that we really need to have a motion to thank the mayor when we've had correspondence separately outside of the council meeting. However, he has filled his position, and with that comes a great deal of responsibility. And I don't agree with some of the things that have been gained over the 2 terms that the mayor's been in office. I certainly don't, the previous as a deputy, I certainly don't agree with the fluoridation of the water and several other things. And with all the good that we have, we do actually have some failures. But as I have expressed to the mayor, I do wish him well. And I hope that his health does improve, because it's very disappointing when you're not well. So I do wish him well, and I do acknowledge that he has fulfilled his role with the council. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Councillor Graham, thank you.
I'd like to support the motion very definitely, and give my thanks to the mayor. Done a great job.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this matter?
Just like to say a few words, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, certainly.
I look back a little while ago on all the things we've achieved in this last term of council, which is 2 years and 9 months, and I was really quite surprised when I looked at the number of achievements. Now, that's not achievements that I've driven particularly. It means that we've got a council and staff that are working together really well to make these things happen. And it's all about teamwork. And that's the greatest satisfaction I can take out of that. But thank you for your kind words. And over to you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I put the recommendation. All in favour? Unanimous.
I'll abstain, because that would be appropriate.
I don't know, you can abstain.
Yes, I was told that in my first meeting.
Yes, you can't. Was that a no?
Yeah, well, no vote. Yeah.
Okay, we go to item 11, councils and delegates reports. First one is 11.1, Oberon Business and Tourism Association. The recommendation is that council notes the report as information. Have a mover, please. Councillor Hayden, a seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Trembar. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm not going to speak too much on this. The report speaks for itself. We've got the Oberon Business and Tourism Association Awards coming up on the 6th of September. So that is something that has been moved along with OBTA, and I'm very pleased to see that. So that's nothing further to add.
Thank you. Councillor Trembar.
Yes, thank you for the report. It's always a good read, keeping us up to date with what's actually happening in the business space. So yes, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Trembar. Any further comment from councillors? If not, I'll put the recommendation. All in favour, please. Yep. We move to item 11.2, which is the IPWEA Roads Conference. The recommendation is the council receive and notes the delegates report for the IPWEA Roads Congress held on 3rd of June 2024. Have a mover, please. Councillor Hayden. Seconder, please. Councillor Trembar. Thank you, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, this is one of the yearly conferences that some of us attend. IPWEA Roads Congress. It's one of the, I classify it as being important because road infrastructure is one of our most expensive pieces of infrastructure that council has to own, maintain, and the state. So the report basically speaks for itself. I've outlined everything that I can. I've attached the Congress communique, and I did attach the state minister's budget allocation there that mentions a lot of the roads, just so that councillors are aware of where a lot of funding is actually going to. So nothing further to add.
Thank you, councillor Hayden. Councillor Trimble.
Yes, thank you for the report. It was very informative. I have attended these conferences in the past. They're very worthwhile and we do get a lot out of them. And as councillor Hayden has alluded to, that roads is a very important part of our LGA in particular. So nothing to add. It's a good read and bit long, but you'll get a lot out of it, I think. Thank you.
Yes, and I found, actually the summary, as you indicated, councillor Hayden, on page, I think it's 50 and 51, because the media release and the allocations to what's been allocated was very informative. Thank you. Any further discussion on this matter? If not, I'll put the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We now go to committee reports. 4.1 is the Hazel Grove Public School Reserve Committee meeting the 22nd of July 2024. The recommendation is in three parts. First, that council receive and note minutes of the Hazel Grove School Reserve Committee held on 22nd of July 2024. 2, the committee requests council allocate 5,000 from the Building Maintenance Fund to assist in maintenance as part of the recommendations in the Building Inspection Report, and the committee members utilise the funds with a volunteer working there as a short-term solution. And 3, Elaine Boxer be appointed as a member of the Hazel Grove Public School Reserve Committee. Have a mover, please. Councillor Hayden, second, please. Okay, Councillor McCarthy, seconds. Thanks. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, at our last meeting, we had to do some prioritisation around what needs to be done to preserve the Hazel Grove Reserve Schoolhouse. It is subject to water inundation, and we came to a conclusion that we need to actually get some cover over that. The general manager assisted and helped the committee with putting this recommendation forward. The discussion was had. The members of the committee will put the plastic up should the council find it appropriate to allocate $5,000. I don't think that the allocation is going to be all used, but it will allocate a fund that the Hazel Grove Reserve School Committee can then go and get pricing, bring back to council and have some approval around purchasing what's required to cover over that portion of the building. So with that, I won't discuss much further. It's a very extensive report, so I'm sure everyone here, if you've read it, can see that.
Thank you, Councillor Hayden. Councillor McCarthy.
I know it's pretty straightforward, but you must remember this is one of the last little schools that are in our area, that be in ownership of control. But anyway, I support the report. Thank you.
Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Just a couple of small queries on number 2. First of all, just the wording at the start. It seems strange that we would be resolving that the committee request council. We should just take out those first 3 words, and if we're going to allocate it, we just decide that council allocate it. But more importantly, I just would like clarification on what the building maintenance fund is. Is that some sort of reserve, and how much is in it? Or have we allocated money in this year's budget for this school? Or is something else going to miss out if we allocate?
All right, so I'll do this in 2 bits if I can. I suppose Councillors Hayden and Councillor McCarthy, you're happy to delete the first 3 words from 2, because I think that actually does make sense.
Yes.
Yeah, right. On the second part of your question, if I could ask the general manager to update us on the building maintenance.
Through the chair, under our building asset management plan, we have a program in which we allocate money to our building fund each year, and that goes to help and maintain buildings that we in fact own and need to provide upgrades to.
So is that a reserve?
It's a fund that we allocate. When we don't use that total allocation, it goes into reserve, yes, because that's how you build that fund for those big projects that we try to do. But in this instance, it's considered as one of our one of our buildings that we own would fit within that fund. And that's where we've asked.
Right, so it's just an amount of money for any building stuff that comes up during the year. It's not as if allocating this $5,000, it means that something else that we had in mind is going to miss out.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I would just make a comment that, there are no, it doesn't list attendees of, the minutes don't list the attendees, and when you're looking at and reading the reports, it refers to certain people and throughout. And it would be much clearer if the attendees were listed, the full names were listed in the minutes.
I'd like to apologise for that. I didn't take them in.
No, I'm not
So,
directing it to anyone.
Yeah.
No, I'm just asking for those who are on the committee, maybe they could note that in future, it'd make it easier. Any further discussion on this matter? I put the recommendation in 3 parts. All in favour? Unanimous, thank you. We go to 12.2, which is the Black Springs Community Hall Committee meeting, 1st of August 2024. The recommendation is that council receive and note the minutes of the Black Springs Hall Committee held on 1st of August 2024. 2, prioritise and seek grant funding opportunities for the installation of blackout blinds at the Black Springs Hall. And 3, undertake a structural assessment on the concrete tank, and if deemed unsafe, undertake removal activities. Someone to move this, please. Councillor Hayden, seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor Trembart. Councillor Hayden.
yes, at the last Black Springs Hall Committee report, as councillors will be aware, Oberon Council owns, manages the Black Springs Hall. The minutes are extensive in there. I think they speak for themselves. The prioritisation and grant funding opportunities for the installation of the blackout blinds. There have been instances where events have been on in summer months and the western windows have had black plastic sheeting placed up there, tech screwed to the brand new acoustic panels, and to provide some blackout and some screening of the bright sunshine that does come through in summer minutes. It makes more sense to have some blinds. It will add to the appearance internally of the building, which is looking really good, and all the work that has been done on the building, the band room and so on. It's really a very good building with that serves our community in a lot of different events. So if we look at grant funding, we've discussed that would be the next priority, and then there were some safety issues around the old concrete tank that's in the rear of the premises, which could be dangerous should events be on and young children are out there, hurt themselves with the tank, because quite often they go out and throw rocks at the tank, break pieces off and so on. So the committee had sat down and discussed what the priorities were, and that was a recommendation that was put forward.
Thank you, Councillor Hayden. Councillor Trimble.
I have nothing further to add, thank you.
Right. Yeah, further discussion? I just ask you, General Manager, for the removal of the concrete tank and the assessment of what's funding source for that, and we can do that.
Through the chair, I would, from the recommendation, I would assume that we would do the risk assessment in-house.
Yes.
And if it required removal, or dare say a report would be forwarded back to the council with the seeking a funding allocation of, is my understanding.
Okay, you're happy with it? All right, any further discussion? Yeah, Councillor McCarthy.
The tank's been sitting there for a number of years in this state. I don't know why they don't make a decision to use it and use the village funds to remove it. It's only lightweight concrete, it's not a heavy concrete tank, it's only straight concrete, but I think
Are you,
make a decision and
are you proposing an amendment?
I just think you just got to bite the bullet sometimes and do something.
Well, as the
I know,
as the resolution stands at the moment, it's undertake a structural assessment, and if deemed undertake removal activities. But
no, I won't change it because the wrong message will go back to Black Springs. Thank you.
Right. Any further discussion on this matter? I put the recommendation in 3 parts. All in favour? Passed unanimously. Thank you. We go to 13, which is report to the decision, and the first is 13.1, review of roadside weed control services program. The recommendation is that council note the information provided by the Central Tablelands Weeds Authority and seek a meeting with all parties associated with the CWTA to find an appropriate way forward. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Tucker. Seconder, please. Councillor McCarthy. Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. First of all, just another little detail. We seem to get mixed up between CTWA and CWTA all the way through the report that keeps changing from one to the other. So,
Should be CTWA.
Yes, true. Again, more importantly, a couple of other questions. And this has been coming and it's going to impact on our budgets substantially. So I think when this agreement first came in, it was in the order of 50-odd thousand a year we were expecting, and we're now going to be averaging about 145, so 90,000 increase. How much did we, or how much have we provided in our current financial year budget?
I think it's 200,000, isn't it? But that's the whole lot. That doesn't only include the roadside spraying. It's a
I know we're not deciding yet.
So we give a contribution, and then there's roadsides that are a separate amount. And then I think we do our verge spraying, but I'm not sure if that's included. Is that out, which is a direct contractor with us?
So are we in a position to say whether the amount that we've allocated is going to be enough to cover that, or is it going to have to lead to further discussions about whether and how to increase the budget?
If I could I think that, and I have had discussions with the general manager, and the general manager can chip in if, but basically we're not absolute. We want to have reconfirmation of the dollar figure it's costing per kilometre, and I think that's why the general manager is suggesting that it'll probably be the new delegates who are appointed in the next term, and the general manager meet with the Central Tablelands Weeds Authority general manager to discuss to justify the figure and to understand the figure, and we're also going to do some testing ourselves to verify what it would cost to do the work ourselves. Correct?
And I was leading up to saying the same thing. I know that's the recommendation is not to make any decisions at the moment, but simply to seek a meeting, and that was my understanding of what that meeting would be.
But it also allows us as Oberon Council, and where I wear 2 hats in this position currently, to assist to get up to us to do some verification on the figure.
And in fact, I was assuming that seeking a meeting with all parties was probably going to be all the councils, not just the one council, or all the councils. Right. And
there are 4 constituent councils. Yes, that's right.
Altogether. So, and I do think that's important that we do that. We shouldn't just be, at the drop of a hat spending an extra $90,000. So it is important.
And you'll also
for opportunities to ease that impact.
And we're also talking about a possibility of a 4 rather than a 3-year program, extending out to 4-year.
And this was my next question. That's in point number 7. And it says each council can elect at any time during the 3-year term to change from 3 years to 4 years. So my question there is, are there potential implications or risks if we do that? Obviously, spreading the cost over 4 years reduces the amount per year, but does that extra year mean that the extra spreading of the weeds, does that counteract whatever financial benefit we got in the first place?
It can to some degree, and you'll appreciate that also the issue is that once you've done a program for a number of years, and probably 3 years is ideal, that when you get to the fourth year, if you're on a 3-year program, you should reduce your cost substantially, because it's then a mopping up and a re-maintenance. It's more a maintenance activity. You should have got on top of the majority of it, and it's just a more a maintenance issue. So your costs should drop. If you go to a 4-year program, it will be similar, but you probably don't have quite the same effect, but it's obviously more manageable financially.
Yeah, I had just assumed that the original 3 years was because that was considered the optimum between minimising annual costs, but not letting weeds get out of hand. And I was just concerned that 4 years might be counterproductive.
I'd have to say from a personal experience, probably 3 years is ideal, but running a property, but
Anyway, that can be.
if we can't afford it, we have to do something that we can.
And that can be part of that discussion.
And it's also weather dependent. If we have 4 years of 3 years of drought, it's different than if we have 4 bumpy years of climatic conditions that are highly conducive to the spread of weeds.
And my final question is a minor one relating to point 5 on page 63, where it talks about the invoicing. So we raise a purchase order and they invoice us in September. It just seems slightly odd practice to invoice prior to the work being carried out. And just wondering if that's normal and acceptable practice.
I'm not.
Through the chair, some is and some isn't. Given the experience that we've had at this point in time, I'd probably be reluctant to do that.
That will be subject to the discussions, I would imagine, that will be held. Yes.
The question is right.
That's part of the proposed new agreement. And anyway, that was all my questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Councillor Tucker. Councillor McCarthy?
Yes, my main concern is that the requirement from Transport New South Wales that you've got to have these escort vehicles now. And puts a massive cost when you use little places like Gilholmes Lane and that. Can't see that we shouldn't be consulting with the relevant authorities and actually shutting that road down for a short period of time. So I'd like that to be considered when they have this meeting.
The escort vehicle issue is one of the issues. I know that both the general manager and I have had discussions with that internally ourselves. As Oberon Council, I've had discussions with the general manager of the Central Tablelands Weeds Authority. The problem is if you require escort vehicles on some roads and then you go from a large road to a small road, what do you do? At the moment, they have been able to basically use the escort vehicle to carry additional water, which has saved time and then having to go and fill up. So there are some advantages there. We wish to further investigate that, the general manager and whoever the new delegates are in the new year. That's one of the issues on the agenda.
Well, I don't agree with you that extra water, but I mean, the relevant thing is to get these weeds sprayed.
That's right.
And when I seen them doing Gilholmes Lane, it was just a farce that here you have a lane 300 or 400 metres and you've got this escort vehicle there with the operator and his wife and the kids and all the rest. And you've got the person out in front spraying. Wouldn't we be better off shutting the road down for 2 hours and just closing the road off? There's many of these roads throughout this district, Brass Walls Road, places like that, insignificant roads. So I think we've got to change the way we do things.
And that is on the agenda, as I
I
said.
still understand that you got to, in the busy roads, you've got to have these escort vehicles, but in the back roads, I don't think it needs.
No, it's one of the issues the general manager has raised. Yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Pemba.
Yeah, I read this and it's back before us again. And I'm confused as to why there's no explanation as to why the program is so far behind. We as a council, sector 1, not even completed. We're now meeting to have another meeting to talk about it again, which I find not a good use of our time. And we could be potentially 2 years into this program and we still won't have sector 1 done. And to say that we could spread it over 4 years, I think that is a little bit loose with, we know the program should be run over 3 years. That's just a way out of like, well, maybe we spread it over 4 years. Whereas if the optimum is 3 years, that's why we're working for 3 years, or we would have been working for 4 years. So, and Blaine seems to be well cared for. They've got sector 1 done and sector 2. Bathurst is in the same boat as us, so what has happened to this program that we're in this position? So, you know, we've got all these numbers and that's great, but it doesn't actually give us any answers to a program that was running. I understand the additional costs that have been incurred now, but that doesn't explain everything. The meeting to meet again, where are we going to be in 6 months? Still with unsprayed roads.
No, I know the point, and we know the point, but the general manager has asked for me, to convince or to be convinced about the amount per kilometre so that we can justify additional funding if that's what council determines.
Because I would have proposed that that recommendation was a little bit more, had a bit more around it in terms of why we're going to have a meeting, and who was going to be in the meeting, determine how it happened and how we'll get it fixed, and also review the finances and service agreement and have a report come back to council. I'd be very specific in this recommendation as to what we want to see. Yes, so I would like to
Put an amendment?
put an amendment. Sorry, Councillor Hayden, I know that you had to wait up. So I want more rigour around the,
So are you proposing an amendment?
yes. So the first part, that council note the information provided by Central Tablelands Weeds Authority. 2, seek a meeting with the Central Weeds, I'm getting confused with the acronym now.
CTWA.
CTWA, and all GMs, Bathurst, Blaney, Lithgow and Oberon, be in that meeting. 3, determine how it happened, how it will be fixed.
So I think 3 should read, determine how the overrun in costs for spraying.
And the sector's not being
And the sector.
completed. Let council do things. That's right, that's right. Let's do it on the fly. And how this will be fixed.
Sorry, could somebody repeat 3, please? Chairman. I'm confused between the two of you, sorry.
Councillor Kippen, how to just put those words in? How?
I was told to be quiet.
Well, I'm asking to speak. If you could, how it happened is what I said, and then you added to that.
How the increased kilometre cost of spraying occurred and resulted in us in Oberon Council's sector 1 not being completed. Are you happy with that? And 4, I would suggest.
I had reviewed the finances and the service agreement. Yeah.
So.
That service level agreement, yes, you're right, SLA. I know that one. And 5, report back to the October council meeting. That if possible.
Through the chair,
That may be too early.
no, just through the chair though, you're putting this in the general manager's hands during a caretaker.
Yeah.
And would you like a delegate to also be included in that meeting? And if so, I can't make the deadline.
Because the delegates won't be appointed.
Okay, November.
Well, if the roadside spraying is going to be done, it has to be commenced in November, really, like at the optimum period.
Just through the chair in that regard, council has allocated money for
Yes,
weed
which is-
spraying. So it wouldn't preclude council from starting that process if the optimal time is during that
Well, it is.
that
going to
period.
be, yeah.
It's acknowledging what's happened in the past, which we've asked for and when this will assist in that, but also how do we propose to fix it in the future? Because it's, there's 4 constituent councils in this,
Mm.
in this.
And mine's very
agreement.
happy.
And
No problems to see in Blaney.
And the additional funds need to be supported by 4 constituent councils, not 3. And
Mhm.
yep, you got to
Think we're right?
I'm happy to second.
definitely have.
Okay.
Happy to second the amendment, councillor Hayden. Do you want to speak to it?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, have you finished?
I finished, thank you.
Yes, I'm glad councillor Trembleth has put this amendment forward. Reading through this extensive report, I did note that, I'd like to know who does their maths when they put this report together. Bathurst sector, 419 kilometres and cost of 68,000 odd. Oberon kilometres, 336 with 106,000. I think it's ridiculous. And this needs to have a deep dive, and there needs to be some thorough investigation into how they come up with these costs. I'm also not happy that, yes, they want to turn around and have mapping of the spraying done. I understand that. I don't believe that council should have to be paying an amount of money towards the software. If they want to install software, they install the software at their cost and they provide a report to each individual council. I don't believe council should have to pay to access a site where there could just be a login. I think it's a bit ridiculous. So anyway, that's all I have to say on that matter.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Grace.
I'll speak for the amendment. It's really setting the agenda for the meeting, which I certainly won't hurt.
Thank you. Councillor Tucker.
Mr. Chairperson, just a detail, just asking councillor Trembleth about number 2, where it says all parties and all GMs. Do you want to specify and the elected delegates from each constituent council?
Yes, if we could, that would make sense.
I just
Or will I hold it up?
through the chair, I've received an email today from Central Tablelands Weeds Authority, not Central West Table Authority, seeking a meeting with the general managers through that caretaker mode. I'm more than happy to go to that meeting. I just think that the conversation needs to be had
I'm
with,
happy to leave the amendment as is
constituent,
then.
members from council to get an understanding themselves.
Subsequent meetings can be with the delegates, so I'm happy to leave it as is.
Yes, I think it should be it. Okay, so we're happy. What's it read as the moment?
All being on that one, just- I need to put it in the delegates.
Well, why don't you say seek an initial meeting with all parties?
I don't. So through the chair, what I was saying is that I'm already going to attend a meeting with the general managers. I think that there needs to be delegates from each of the councils involved in getting an understanding of what the overall responsibilities of this new agreement will be. So I would include delegates, knowing full well that the general manager is going to have one, and then if it's delegates, I'm going to say, well, I've got a resolution saying that we need to have this with delegates as well.
Delegates for the next couple of months.
No, that's right.
Including delegates.
Yeah, it would not preclude the council, me having an initial one, outlining council's position to say any subsequent meeting needs to have delegates, and this is what we want to determine. This is what we want to discuss at that meeting.
So into second meeting with all parties associated with the CTWA and all general managers and delegates from constituent councils to be included in meetings.
General managers and delegates.
Just wondering how you define a delegate when you want to have.
Certainly.
Through the chair, that would mean that that meeting can't occur until after October.
That's what I just said, yeah. And then we delay the process.
Leave the delegates out.
I think leave it out.
Yes, I do too.
It'll be a given that you'll have delegates in subsequent meetings.
So by saying seek a meeting with all parties associated, it almost means that you include delegates.
All right, include the delegates. We'll stop this now.
No, could I suggest, seek a meeting with the CTWA and all general managers from constituent councils
Including
at an initial
delegates.
meeting with delegates to be listened to. Good name, isn't
Why
it?
not just say all parties and leave it at that?
All, no, put it all general managers
That covers everyone.
and delegates of constituent councils to be included in that meeting.
Well, that precludes an information.
No, it wouldn't, literally just says that any decision that we make needs to,
Yeah.
is that a resolution to say that we
All right,
need to.
When you're at the
I wanna
meeting, you
bring the
can say-
political
Yeah.
base into play.
so the wording is now on the screen. Councillors, please look at it. Is that, are you happy with that, councillor Trimbar?
I am, thank you.
Councillor Hayden?
I'll go along with it, but I reckon just all parties covers everything.
Any further discussion on this amendment? I put the amendment, all in favour of the amendment? 1, 2, 5 you in favour, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the amendment becomes the motion. All those in favour of the motion? Passed unanimously. We go to 13.3, which is the 2023-24 financial year unaudited financial statements.
2.
Oh, sorry.
8.
Sorry, 13.2, the ARIC independent member appointment. The recommendation is that council endorse Andrew Cox as an independent member of the Oberon Audit Risk and Improvement Committee for a 2-year term from 11th September 2024 to 10th September 2026. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Tucker, a seconder? I'll second it for the purpose. Oh, the mayor? Right. Councillor Kellam? Councillor Tucker?
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Yeah, happy that we've been able to take this course of action, not have to go through the whole advertising and interview process again, given that it had been done not very long ago. And I'm sure that Andrew, when I went through the original applications, I'm sure he was one that ended up on my shortlist as well. So happy to endorse him and save that time again. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kellam?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a very, very sensible report. It's making good use of work done previously, and Andrew Cox is a very fine addition to the ARIC.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this matter? If not, I put the recommendation. All in favour? Passed unanimously. Thank you. We go to 13.3, 2023-24 financial year unaudited financial statements. The recommendation is in 6 parts. That council accepts the 2023-24 unaudited financial statements in accordance with section 4.13.3 of the Local Government Act 1993 as amended and the regulations made thereunder. 2, confirms that the financial statements are prepared in accordance with the Local Government Act 1993 as amended and the regulations made thereunder, the Australian Accounting Standards and Professional Pronouncements and the Local Government Code of Accounting Practice and Financial Reporting. 3, acknowledges that the financial statements present fairly council's operating result and financial position for the year. 4, confirms that the financial statements accord with council's accounting and other records. 5, refer the 2023-24 financial statements for audit. And 6, delegate the Mayor, Deputy Mayor, General Manager and the Corporate Services Director to sign the 2023-24 financial statements when the Audit Office review has been received and there are no material changes required. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Tucker. Seconder, please. For the purposes of seconded. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Councillor Timber. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't see you. Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I'd like to start just by acknowledging the work that has gone in the finance department to get these up earlier than they might otherwise have been, given the timing of the election and wanting to get it before we go into caretaker mode. So thank you to Matt and his team for doing that. I, as usual, and I imagine it applies to most of us, certainly haven't been through it with a fine tooth comb, but I have confidence that every effort has been made to get it correct, and I'm happy to move that motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor.
I'm happy
Councillor.
to second that in all 6 parts, and as councillor Tucker has said, very impressed by the team of getting this all together in time for us to be able to review it, and top line, everything looks good. Probably haven't been across all the detail, but otherwise it looks great.
Any further discussion on this matter?
Yeah, there's a lot of work gone into this report, but I'll be voting against it because I requested some information in the June meeting. It was taken on notice and I still haven't got that reply to do with some financial implications in the report. So thank you very much, but I appreciate the work, but I'll still be voting against it. Thank you.
If any, and noting that if any council's got any issues, they can raise it during the period that it's with the audit officers. With the
Mr. Mayor, I raised the thing yesterday, even put a note on the desk of the girl at the reception. And this is 2 months, this has been going on and still haven't got a reply. I'm sorry, it's not good enough. And it's about financial details that was in initial report in June.
I do know that there is a query that I've asked for in terms of a contractor. But I don't know if that's the question or query
That was a query. It's on video, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I've also highlighted with the mayor as well. So it's on video of the meeting. So it's not something that can't be looked up.
No. It has no impact on the financial, the information that's been requested.
I think, Councillor McCarthy, the information was provided, but I'm not sure how it affects the financials necessarily.
It hasn't been provided to the requester. So I don't know how it's, how's it been provided?
No, I said I don't know it's been, even whether the information's been provided or not, I don't think it affects the financials, and I'm just trying to see where the status is.
Well, this is what happens when a question taken on notice. I think you're going to get a response.
And through the chair, that response is coming. I'd received a response and I'd asked some further questions and they're still being clarified. Because the question on notice was around which different funding sources did that person get allocated from, and we're trying to find out. We're trying to give as much accurate information in that regard as possible. So I think the total's been acknowledged, the total's been there, it's been predominantly grant funded with an allocation provided to assist in development application or development control processes, and I was just making sure that information was correct before I provided it back to the councillor. So the response will be forthcoming. It doesn't affect the basic financials, but it will be provided. Yeah, once you've obtained the information required. Are you satisfied or not satisfied with that, Councillor Carl?
Councillor, Deputy Mayor, in one of the year report, that money we paid to that certain person is in the same column that I'm disputing why it is in there now. And I think off memory it was about $29,000. And this year it's zero. So anyway, I'm happy. I've indicated to you which way I'll be voting. So thank you. And I appreciate the amount of work the staff's done.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments on the financials? Oh, sorry, Councillor.
Yes, had a couple of queries. I agree with some of what Councillor McCarthy has brought up. Taking things on notice, as he's stated, I mean, we should have a notice time frame of around 28 days, which we just don't get anything taken on notice. Not much is actually answered. So anyway, my question around these financials, yes, thank you to Matt and his team for the extensive report. in here on page 113 of 380, which is, you can't read, it's got an override on it, around special rates. There's listed town improvement there of 551,000. And for 2024, I don't believe we're collecting any further town improvement rates. I'm just wondering why that is listed there. And I'll add it to the next query was toward the bottom, just above the material accounting policy information paragraphs. It stated councillors used the 2022 year valuations provided by the Valuer General. I thought the Valuer General issued new amounts last year.
Through the chair, this is the FY 23-24, so that levy was in place during that time. The levy is not happening from 24,
Right.
25 onwards, that's why it's been included.
I just wondered why it doesn't have a close-off time, because it certainly wouldn't be the whole financial year of 2024 for 551.
Through the chair, that's the levy we collected for that last financial year, so we disbanded from in the new FY. For the valuations, they were the valuations that we were issued. Zoe may be able to clarify the standard on those, if there's anything further, Zoe.
Yeah, so the large valuation that we received for the entire LGA happened at the end of 2022 to start from the first rating period at the start of last year. So even though it's listed as 2022, that's when the valuation occurred, but it was effective from 1 July 2023 is the first period that we rated from, but the year was 2022.
Okay, thank you for that, Zoe. Another question on the following page around the significant change in cost to the tourism side of things. I did note that's quite significant compared to 2023 there. And I gather that must be including work with the Visitor Information Centre, or is that round staffing? Why such the huge increase there?
Sorry, councillor, you're talking page 114? What page?
That's it.
So this is the fees and charges that we receive.
That's the income side, sorry, councillor Hayden, it's not the expenditure.
Oh, okay,
So that's
okay.
income.
Thanks for clearing that up then. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thanks, councillor Hayden. Are there any further comments of councillor Tucker?
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Just a couple more quick things. When I spoke earlier, I hadn't noticed Zoe on screen, so I can pass my thanks direct to Zoe rather than through Matt. So thank you, Zoe. And the other one is an email I sent a day or two ago asking about capital works. Now I know, as I said in the email, I know that's not technically a part of these statements. So, and I'm not surprised not to have a response as yet, but just want to check that I will get a reply to that email in the near future.
Through the chair, absolutely, and I think it'll form part of a works workshop that we're trying to put together in the coming month.
Thank you.
Further discussion on the accounts? If not, I put the recommendation in 6 parts. All in favour? Thank you. Councillor McCarthy, do you want your position noted? Thank you. 13.4 is,
Page.
sorry, 13.4 is on page 192. 13.4 is the Connell Shed Pathway Open Tender Request. The recommendation is that council nominate the open tendering method as prescribed in accordance with clause 166B of the Local Government Regulation 2021 for the O'Connell Shared Pathways to the Fish River Bridge construction, and 2, approve the inclusion of the Oberon Common Curtis Street link footpath in the open tender as an additional option for quoting. Could I have someone to move the recommendation in 2 parts, please? Councillor Crembath, seconder, please. Councillor Tucker, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Crembath.
I'm happy to support the recommendation. We have got the funding for this project and we need to get moving, and I'm quite happy to see that we're probably going to include Oberon Common Curtis Street link path in that as well. Just makes sense. So I really don't have anything other than to add to it, other than let's get this underway.
Councillor Tucker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Happy to second it. I have a couple of questions. First of all, I gathered the money for the O'Connell shared pathway is grant money, and can you just confirm how much that grant is and what our own estimate of what it's likely to cost? Do we expect it to be within the grant?
I can tell you the grant is $293,120 with a council co-contribution of $36,000. Total of $326,000.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. And have we done our own estimate, and do we expect it to be completed within that money?
So through the chair, we've, prior to going down this pathway, sourced quotes. And the quotes went over the threshold. We believe that, yes, we are within the value which we've been provided, however, it's.
So it all depends on what prices come in,
correct.
obviously.
Yeah.
If they do happen to come in over the money that we have, are we able to do part of it and just spend up to the money that we've got, or does the grant require us to do the whole?
Through the chair, the grant is provided for a project. The grant also links a currently unfunded bridge across the Fish River, so one might argue that, well, if you can get up to as far as you can, is probably something that we could, that you have to consider.
That's a bridge we can cross when
we get to it. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion on this? Thank you, Councillor Haig.
Sorry, I'm going to not support this motion, this recommendation. I had an email that I sent through on Friday, 9th of the 8th at 12:31 PM to the General Manager asking for some further information regarding the shared pathway. I don't believe that this shared pathway that goes nowhere is of any benefit to any part of any community. I understand that there's a grant in place. However, I don't support the project. I think it's going to be serious implications to the traffic that go along that 80-kilometre zone. Many other difficulties around that, and when there's nothing in place to actually cross a river, I just can't support it. That's it. And I don't believe that we need to have included the Oberon Common Curtis Street link. I mean, isn't that something that we could have done ourselves?
We are doing it ourselves.
Yes, well, why do we need a tender to look at it?
General Manager, so through the chair, I think the acknowledgement is around this work is something that we can get done quicker if we had a contractor come and have a look at it. It also gives us the opportunity to compare our costs against others.
Do I have to say anything?
Thank you. Any other discussion on this, Councillor McCarthy?
Yes, just on number 2, I thought at several meetings that General Manager indicated we had a square metre rate to do this sort of path, and doesn't that work out to be the best option rather than going out to tender and waiting and getting this job done?
General Manager?
I'm through the chair once again. It was about value adding a project that related to footpath. If it doesn't work for us, we won't use it.
Okay.
So it's an option, so it'll be priced independently, I'm assuming, in the tender that comes back to us.
Thank you, Chair. That's how we are.
And if it works out as more expensive than a square metre, I'm assuming that would be considered in the assessment. Any other council comments on this one? If not, I put the recommendation in 2 parts. All in favour? Councillor McKechnie against? Councillor McCarthy against? Councillor Hayden against? We'll note Councillors Hayden, McCarthy and McKechnie are against this recommendation. 2 parts, all other councillors for it. Okay, we go to 13.5, which is the Oberon Multi-Purpose Sports Complex progress report. The General Manager is going to remove himself from this section due to probity concerns. I also note The councillors will have received a memo with an update from the chairperson of the steering committee, Councillor Gary Stiles, and I think that's to be read as point 6 on page 195. You'll see in the mid part of that, there's 5 there's 5 reasons. There is the 6th reason there, which is listed in this memo. So the recommendation is that council note the progress in the report, and 2, endorse the consideration of the stage 3 development application for stormwater, upper surface placement, turf and irrigation works under staff delegation within the caretaker period as outlined in the report. So basically, to explain to council just before we have a mover, is this memo is explaining why the general manager in the caretaker mode is now able to deal with this, because all deliberations in relation to the board appointment, etc., have now occurred, so that the general manager can obviously be involved now, and that's confirmed by probity and by the chairperson. So could I have a mover for the recommendation in 2 parts, please? Councillor McCarthy, Councillor McKechnie, thank you. Councillor McCarthy.
It's a pretty straightforward report, but to sit in on this, you've got to be a Dun and Bradstreet lawyer, I think, to understand it all. And I still go back to the original thing, is why we didn't purchase the ground outright and not have this probity plan. Just pay the $40,000 stamp duty and own it. But anyway, let's get on with it.
Okay. Councillor McKechnie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I support the recommendation on several grounds, but we need to move forward, and this will prevent any hold-ups. And if there is now, with the probity commitments complete, with the general manager being cleared to be involved, that will eliminate or allow him to make any decisions or make minor alterations or decisions in the caretaker period, or between now and December. So it's, the project's moving along very well up there, and now is the time when we're coming into the dry period to do these infrastructure with the water, the sprinklers, sewage and all that. So I support that. It's fairly important that we move forward and meet our objective of being completed by end of June 2025.
Thank you, Councillor McKechnie, for excellent words. Thank you, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy that this is progressing. I'm just wondering, is this sports complex going to be on target for July next year? That's one question I have. I'm just a bit concerned, and also just a slight amendment needed up in the top of the heading near progress report, because it needs another piece. That's all.
Yeah, well, I've circled that, but it's not part of the recommendation.
That's all right. I just.
So, thank you. I'd ask the mover and seconder if you can comment on, you've been in a meeting today on the progress, and comment on, is it still on budget, on schedule to be, and Councillor Trembath is on for July next year.
Well, from our meeting this afternoon, and all indications are that at the moment it's slightly ahead of schedule, and the aim is to be somewhere around the end of June 2025, July 2025, which is pretty much on target. We have also been given indication from Gary today that some of the work is progressing behind the scenes in prefabrication and things like that, which will eliminate or speed up works when the December DA is approved. So at this stage, there's no indicators that it won't be on track for mid-2025.
Thank you, Councillor
that we're
Fitzgerald.
aware of.
You happy with that, Councillor Hayden? Any further discussion on this recommendation in two parts? If not, I put the recommendation, all in favour? Passed unanimously, and could someone ask the general manager to come back and second? We move to 13.6, returns of disclosing interests. The recommendation is council notes the requirement to lodge a return disclosing interests of councillors and designated persons. Because I have a mover for the recommendation, Councillor Hayden, a seconder, Councillor McCarthy. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move the recommendation and note the disclosures. I did actually send another email to the general manager in relation to this because one of the disclosures was for the next term and next year and that. For this year.
The chair's been amended appropriately.
Thank you.
Councillor McCarthy.
Just a requirement.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this recommendation, councillors? If not, I put the recommendation. All in favour? Thank you. Passed unanimously. We go to, and I'll, sorry, Councillor Hayden, I will give you a page number, page 299, 13.7, end of term report 2021 to 2024. The recommendation is the council endorses the end of term report for 2021-24 reporting period. A mover, please. Councillor Hayden, a seconder. Councillor Trember, thank you. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to receive this report. I also did send the general manager another email asking about report for councillors over the term. He did relay back that there'll be something in November meeting in regards to that. I did have a query around improve the public transport services in the community. I do note that we don't really have many improved public transport services in Oberon. That's something in that report that maybe is a little bit misleading. But the rest of it, yeah, a lot of work's gone into it, and thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Trember.
I'm happy to second it and thank you for the report.
Any further discussion on this, councillors? I put the recommendation. All in favour? Thank you. Passed unanimously. We go to 14, reports for information. No, sorry, 13.8. Pages left. I must have missed that one. Page 320. Development application 224.037, shed at 1021 Duckmalloy Road, Oberon. The recommendation is the council vary part A4.3 building setback from roads of its current DCP 2001 in relation to development application DA 2024.037, construction of a shed at lot 2 in DP 1013687, being known as 1021 Duckmalloy Road, Oberon. And 2, a division be called in accordance with section 375A of the Local Government Act 1993. Can I have a mover for the recommendation in two parts? Councillor Hayden, and seconded Councillor McCarthy. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move the recommendation to vary that part 4.3. The variation isn't that significant. 5 metre setback. Looking at the location, there's a lot of foliage and a lot of trees there that block any visual view anyway, so I have no issue with it in both parts. Thank you.
Councillor McCarthy.
Pretty straightforward. There's a big setback from the road reserve. I can't see any implication when we get dual lanes out that way because they're nearly there anyway. So yeah, can't see any impact.
Right, Councillor Trember.
I do have an issue with it. We have a GCP, but we seem to, doesn't really matter. It gets quoted lots of times, but other times, and this is the second one within a couple of months for exactly the same thing. Last time it was 2 metres at Essendon, and this time it's 5 metres. And guess what? The words are exactly the same. It's almost like a cut and paste job. Whilst the shed could be placed elsewhere on the allotment, the amount of earthworks will be significant due to the undulating nature of the terrain. The location of the shed will also consolidate all the required farming infrastructure into one area. That's in both. In addition, they've also quoted that there's some high voltage power lines running across the property, and the 20-metre setback would place the shed much closer or under these power lines. Well, that's insulting our intelligence because you can't build under power lines. So that's not true. Moving the shed to the proposed location will allow clearance from the shed to the power lines, increasing safety. Well, if it's not under the power lines, it's not going to be a problem, really. So I'm just saying, we've opened the gate to 1, and now we've got 2 metres, now we've got 5 metres, and then there's other people that the DCP is enforced all the time, and it's quoted to them that that's just what it is, but we want to make, you know, exceptions here, and I know it'll go through, but I just want to make the point that we're not sort of, it's like saying to the policeman, oh, but I just wanted to go 70 on the 60 roads, okay? You know, it's just not right, and this excavation work that they're going to need, I don't know if you live in O'Connell, if you have to dig out granite, that's quite a lot of excavation. So what are we talking about here? How big is this property, by the way?
So I'll just ask, for your general manager, Director of Planning, mate, if you could comment on this, please.
Sorry, to Director of Planning.
I think, thanks through the chair. Just reading the size of the allotment, 16 hectares, councillor Tremblay.
That's not exactly a farming.
No, it is in the RU1 zone.
I know, so am I, but I'm bigger than that.
As indicated in the report, page 320, the performance requirement is to maintain the rural aesthetic amenity and to minimise any potential traffic conflicts. The driveway, as you can see by the site plan, is not being impacted. The reason for the shed being located is to require essential energy to be more than 10 metres or minimum 10 metres away from the tower. Yes, they could have potentially put it somewhere else, but that's the.
And got an excavator in it, like a little bit of dirt.
Proposed it.
Is that, we're not, you know, makes it sound like everything, all the farming equipment will be located together. We're not talking a shearing shed and, you know, 100 acres. We're talking quite a small piece of land. So I get that it's not really impacting anyone, but I actually have a serious issue with some people getting these amendments through. It's no big deal. And then others having the DCP enforced. So that's just my comment.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Hayden?
Yes, I understand that councillor Tremblay has an issue regarding DCP. I just wanted to bring it to council's notice that we're the governing body. So a development control plan can be in place, but it's up to this governing body when at any point in time that we need to vary something to suit a purpose. And this is varying something to suit a purpose, being a democratically elected governing body. Being a democratically elected governing body, we get to make the decisions whether or not someone needs something amended. Being a landowner, being a farm of any size, they have the opportunity to bring something to this council. And if we feel it's in the best interest to vary something, then we get that opportunity. It doesn't mean that we have a DCP in place that must be set to that and you can't budge from it. We get to change things as things get presented to us. So that's all I'd like to say in finishing.
Thank you. I'll put the recommendation in 2 parts. All in favour? Thank you. Noting Councillor Tremblay again. Okay, 14, reports for information. 14.1 is the monthly activity report of the General Manager for August 2024. The recommendation is that report item 14.1 is received as information. You'll move it, please. Councillor Hayden, second it, please. Second, please, Councillor Tremblay. Thank you. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'd like to thank the General Manager for this report. I did notice through there a few of the issues and damaged assets and collisions. I'm glad that no one was seriously injured. It's sad that it may have damaged some of the assets, but thank you for putting this into this report. Now, I know on the 31st of July, there's once again
what page are we talking about?
328. The Yarning Circle meeting, is that further to the one that you had previously regarding the signing of the MOU?
Through the chair, yes, it
Okay,
is.
could you elaborate on that, please?
Certainly can. The first meeting was to sign the MOU. This meeting was to try and move the project forward.
What was the outcome in that regard?
Council's asked for a number of things from the group, just so we have some standard processes that we need to have, and they're going away to get those for us.
On the 1st of August, through the chair to the general manager regarding, the planning inquiry, and also I have a query around the Fish River pricing review on 13th of August in the next page.
That's 3 items up from the bottom of 328 on the, and the planning review is on the next,
So the meter with the planning inquiry was around a current application that sits with council that's problematic. And we got together with them to try and outline what the issues were and trying to resolve the matter.
So has there been a good outcome of that?
I sat in on the meeting, there was some information that was going to be provided, we give some indications on when we respond. So I'm assuming that is going through the process at this point in time with the planning department. The Fish River review, how long have you got? And
I will just briefly.
So at the end of the day, the Water New South Wales have a requirement where every 4 years they come back to relook at how much it's going to cost us for water for the next 4 years. This meeting through IPART was my ability to say, here are the problems that council have with this particular industry, and I outlined a number of concerns that we have that haven't been identified in the submission that Water New South Wales has made in regard to their bulk water supply application. They have asked me to be on a further meeting when that's finalised and they receive it. So in a nutshell, that's what the meeting was about, and that's how I responded.
Okay, I'd like to thank you for attending these Water New South Wales meetings, as I know that you've been strong representative trying to get some fairness for our community around the water and the raw water that we're sold. I'm hoping that they give us a bit of a significant discount perhaps down the track.
Here's hoping, Councillor.
Thank you.
Councillor Pemberton.
I'm happy to second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this matter, councillors?
Yes,
Councillor McCarthy.
Just the training, I see you've undertaken certain amounts of training. I understand, we have an expression of interest for, training on the grader.
Yep.
And we had 11, people put the hand forward. When do we start commencing training?
Through the chair, that's with my technical services director, and from my perspective, it was great to see so many people put their hand up to do it. So it's now a matter of programming that in.
I realise that, but when, my question is, when do we start? Because I understand.
Through the chair, we're actually looking at outsourcing some of that training to a professional to provide best practice to the grader operators. We've recently had a recommendation, a good report from someone called Shepard, I believe. So I'm working with HR to work on that training plan.
Okay, so we're not going to use the in-house person, or anything?
That had been the plan initially, however, we identified some optimization and believe it's best outsourced and provided externally.
Thank you.
Further discussion on this? If not, I put the recommendation. All in favour? Passed unanimously, thank you. We move to item 14.2, which is the monthly activity report, planning and development, August 2024. The recommendation is the report item 14.2 is received as information. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Hayden, and second, Councillor McCarthy. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to receive this report. Thank our planning director and staff for the extensive information in here. Do you have a question, as he is probably aware, and the general manager is aware, about my queries regarding teenage children and their parents attending the gym after hours. There's been some conflicting information, and from understanding from the general manager that there will be a new policy put in place. Is that correct? Through the chair to the planning director?
Through the chair, that's currently reviewing the, putting a new policy to council, obviously there'll be the new council. And also, updating the information that's on our website to make it clearer, or more clearer for, people to, identify the current, rules.
Okay, I'd like to thank you for that. That's something that is required, I feel, and we kind of need to, keep in some guidelines that, a lot of other gyms and that actually have around ages of the teenagers that attend the gym with their parents. So, one thing I've got here, the Tasman Street council-owned vacant lot. That's up for sale now, is it? Through the chair to the general manager? Page 331.
That's through the chair. We've engaged a local agent.
Yeah.
This stage it hasn't progressed to put it on sale. I've been speaking with electrical contractors about the benefit of putting power on versus what the potential sale price would be if power was installed on the premise, on the site. I am providing some of that information back to the general manager, who will provide our councillors to give an update. If it's not viable, we'll proceed as is, as the current motion is, to put the property to sale.
Yeah.
As it currently stands.
That's okay, and I do have a question around the animal pound side of things. It's much more easier to understand around your dogs and cats, but having a look at June, July, there seems to be some animals still at the pound. Are these still the same animals that have been at the pound for a considerable period of time? And I'm wondering.
You do need to investigate that.
And I am just wondering, what we have in place as a council for the rehoming. Are we dissecting before we rehome and advertise these animals for sale? Or are we just then re-advertising these animals for sale? So that's a question that I have through the chair to the planning.
So we need to probably come back on that, do you? Through the chair, I certainly need to take the first part of your question on notice.
Yep,
So I'll
the
come back to
quantity
that.
of the animals, yep.
Secondly, we undertake all our activities found in accordance with the Companion Animals Act and the requirements. If they're required to be desexed before we then rehome them, that's certainly the process we follow.
Right, that was just a side concern that I had, because I have heard that someone did get an animal previously and it wasn't desexed. So that's just something I want to make sure that we as a council follow that Companion Animals 1998 regulation and make sure that any animals that leave that pound are desexed. That are rehomed, not going back to their original.
Going through the chair, if you have that.
Yeah.
If you have
a
the
specific
information,
issue, I think raise it with the director.
take that on.
Councillor McCarthy?
Yeah, two things. If we made a decision whether we're gonna have a septic system or a pump out down at the rec ground with a good progression of the slab and everything there as the picture shows.
Through the chair, as I mentioned at the informal meeting last week, Councillor McCarthy, we're still going back to the geotech engineer to get the investigations undertaken.
Okay.
Further investigations, because currently the report that was previously done by the former technical services director before the Oval was done indicated that it was not the best area to provide trenches. The question that Councillor McCarthy is asking is that at the stage we're looking at putting in a tank that would be pumped out. However, the question was raised last week to look at alternative methods, which continuing to do.
Now, I'm just asking, has it been looked at that we put the absorption trenches up near the church ground, that was all, and pump up to there? And the other one was, the state government this month released a report on where each council sat on improvement of the DAs. Is there a reason why it's not included in the list here? Gives you an indication where we sit, that's all. Whether we improved from last year or whatever.
Director, have you seen that maybe?
Through the chair, I think it's on a portal. I'd have to take that on notice. All right. The general manager may be watching.
And through the chair, that report was a new provision put in by by the minister. It's not a snapshot of, it's a new provision to council's,
So it's
assessment days. It's a thing moving forward. Council's been put in the 115-day council category, which is standard across all the regional and rural councils in New South Wales.
Yeah, all I'm getting at is that we've applied extra staff, we're trying to train some people in the house. I was just wondering whether they acted doing that, speeding things up, that's all.
So through the check, given that this is a new thing, next year we'll absolutely have that data.
I thought I got a printout last year where we sat, so I didn't think it was a new thing.
I know, the thing I'm thinking of is a new thing. I don't know if there's an old one. We'll take it on notice and give it back to you.
Yes.
So
Someone put a report in my letterbox, so I like it where we sat last time.
Yeah, and through the chair, that report related to number of days in portal, not number of days in assessment. It's a completely different thing, which I think I will have to cancel with the chair.
Anything else, councillor Carvey?
No, thank you.
All right, any further discussion on this matter? Not, I'll put the recommendation. All in favour? Passed unanimously. We go to 14.3, the monthly activity report for technical services, July 2024. Recommendation is report 14.3 is received as information. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Hayden, seconder, please. Councillor Trembath, Councillor Hayden.
Yes, like to receive the report as information. I am a little bit disappointed in the information that's provided in the report. I've sent through several emails to the general manager in regard to queries around what has been listed in the bullet points in the report. I wanted some expansion around the gravel road maintenance and resheeting on Georgia Road, Junction Road, Sills Creek Road, Ferdin's Lane, Mount Warong, Cosgrove, Falsworth Falls and Fogabogger. And I just wanted some information on when the work has been done, or is that another repeat of the previous maintenance? There's been queries from some people on a couple of the roads who've made statements that there was no gravel resheeting. There was probably a couple of potholes that went over and a few things. I just want expansion. I'm just feeling a little perplexed at how the report's coming to us as councillors. We're used to getting a very thorough report and a breakdown on a lot of different work. This is our most significant infrastructure in our LGA, and it's our most costly. And we need to have a report that we can base some of our knowledge and some of our decisions on. And I really hope going forward into the next council, I know it's been hard for our technical services director jumping into a new role. Basically, most of the issues relating around roads, and it is a massive transition. I do understand that, and I appreciate the work that our director is doing and her experience with water and waste and so on. But we really need some more expansion on our roads. That is a priority. So, yeah, that's all I can.
Yes, sorry, through the general manager. Yes, definitely.
So I'm happy to elaborate on that, as I had provided elaboration in the Good News Week letter on those items on the 5th, 12th, 9th and 26th of July, as per general manager's report. Some of them you actually picked up and provided in your Opta report within this business paper. So on the items you've asked for, there was two roads where we had provided gravel resheeting on a longer stretch, road, which is also measured for 1.3 kilometers. And also both West Falls about 1 kilometer, and the remainder was maintenance, so it was spot graveling and patch pothole repairing, which was undertaken on I just need to go through this. Ferdin's Lane, Mount Warong, Cosgrove, Harwood Road, For Boga, we've undertaken again spot rail resheathing, park cover repairs. And on George, we make the cover repair. This is down behind the head wall. And also some spot railing, damaged area.
Thank you, President. No, thanks for providing that. With being in the business papers, we really do need to get some further expansion. So it's not just brought out into dot points, because the community actually read these and they do need to get that information, because they do queries and then they do not.
Through the chair, I'm happy to move forward proactively with better forward planning to actually provide updates to the community itself. Not through business paper, but through media updates, Facebook updates, whatever else our channels are, that then can be shared with councillors. So the community first and foremost is kept informed. Potentially, when it's happening, more up to date before it's happening, preferably, versus the one that's in a business paper that, not sure how much interest.
No, that would be great, because we often go to other committees, so we need to provide a lot of different road information.
Which you regularly ask
Okay.
for and provide.
I think the point's been made. Right, councillor Primmer, I think did you second it?
I did, and thank you very much, and I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
Further discussion on this matter? If not, I put the recommendation. All in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We go to 14.4, which is the monthly activity report for corporate services, July 2024. Recommendations, the report item 14.4 is received as information. A mover, please. Councillor Hayden. Second, Councillor McCarthy. Have you got your hand up? Thank you. I wasn't sure if you're scratching your head or you're.
I'm having a second, mate.
Thank you. I thought that's what you were doing. Right, councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to speak to the recommendation to accept this report for information. I always enjoy reading Matt's reports that he puts forward. There's been significant work being done through our IT department and transitioning independent living units. The Community Services Expo that is coming up on Thursday. An issue that I had, which had been coming up today, which was significant. I had spoke to the general manager about this, and it was regarding the 3 invitations to the 356 presentation on the 15th. I had not received any information that this was occurring. I got secondhand information from the secretary of the BSCA last night that she had been invited to the presentation and it was being held at the Community Services Expo. However, I knew nothing of it. And I don't believe that any other councillors have received an invitation to that. And there was also the application from the Borough Sports and Recreation Club, which some mass confusion had progressed around other members of the BDCA coming to accept something that's meant to be going to the rec club and not the BDCA, which I'd asked the general manager to follow up with the person who put in the application. So I do hope that someone can send an email of invitation and an apology to that person and inviting them along to the Community Services Expo where they're going to have the presentation, because they actually felt really bad today. They actually felt quite embarrassed and really bad. They felt like they were causing an issue because someone had failed to communicate with them. So I did want to bring that up, and I don't think it's going to be.
Sorry, just keep going.
I don't think that it's anyone's significant fault, but there is some lack of communication along the track where someone knows that something's happening, but the rest of councillors haven't been informed in regards to when the presentation was occurring and so on, and who was contacting those applicants. So that's one issue I have, and I seldom have issues with the team, but that is just something that I found a little perplexing.
Sorry, you said one issue. We got another issue?
No.
All right,
No,
can we have a response, please?
Sure, through the chair,
The Community Services Expo, for some time has been expanded to include the Section 356 applications. Councillors have all received a calendar invite to that expo, which half have accepted. If there's been some confusion with councillors on that, we would absolutely welcome the attendance to the expo on Thursday. As regarding the 356 applicants, we've spoken to, of the 48 applicants, we've spoken to just over 40 of them. So we're expecting about 50 of them to come. I don't anticipate there's any one of those who don't know about the event. I recognise that there's been some potential confusion with the Burriga Village, the Burriga General Store, an application. I've spoken to her this afternoon, and she's anticipating to come on Thursday, and we're looking forward to welcoming her to the event.
Thank you for that response, Matt. I do acknowledge that we got an invitation to the Community Services Expo, but I hadn't had any further information that this was in fact going to be the event that the presentations of the 356 funding certificates will be given. So that's a confusion. I was not aware of that at all.
That's it, Chair. We have put some notifications of that in the Newsweek and through the Community Services Committee, but if that's not registered,
Not mentioned.
Okay.
Councillor McCarthy?
I'll let Matt off for the thank you report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion on this matter? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Just on that Burriga matter, I also spoke to a particular person a number of occasions today, and I've received a response from her saying that, yeah, acknowledge the confusion and the storm in the teacup, and she'll be there tomorrow.
Mr. General Manager, I am sorry, but it's not a storm in a teacup, it's a confusion.
Right.
That only needed to have an apology, and I'm sorry for the confusion. That was it.
All right, I think we'll leave this matter. Any further discussion on this matter? I put the recommendation that the report be accepted. All in favour? Yep. 14.5 is investments for July 2025. The recommendation of report item 14.5 is received as information. Can we move it, please? Thank you, Councillor McCarthy. Second, please. Councillor Trembar, thank you. Councillor McCarthy.
Straightforward report. Thank you.
Councillor Trembar.
Nothing to add, thank you.
All right. Any further discussion on this matter? I've put the recommendation. All in favour? Thank you. So to 14.6 grants update July 2024. The recommendation of report item 14.6 is received as information. Move it, please. Councillor Hayden, seconder. Thank you. Councillor Graham. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move the report. I won't remove it. It's good to see the amount of grants there. I do hope we can get some further successful ones. I know the unsuccessful one that is there regarding the National Water Grid Authority. I'm actually pleased with that, to be completely honest, because $990,000 to contribute would have been quite significant to our council. So that is one grant that I am pleased that we didn't get. So
All right. Just before second, I think you have an update on this, don't you?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just to update on this report, since writing, there's been two acknowledgements of on movements on the grants that differ from the report. The EV application that was put through has come back successful. That's for supporting upgrade of the EVs at the visitor centre. And we also have received notification that we have moved through the expressing of interest phase in the Play Our Way grant program, and that was for the Oberon hockey pitch and related facilities. So we're working on stage 2 of that application.
Can I just add a further point to my mention, if that's okay with the chair? It's just regarding the Play Our Way grant funding. I had some confusion. Is that through the Department of Health?
Through the chair, that grant's offered by the Department of Aged Care and Health.
I'm just a little confused, being the Department of Aged Care and Health, I would have thought that would have been something that, offers grants towards that kind of, unit in not playing sport. Sorry, it was just a confusion I had, how they're allocating a grant to something that isn't basically aged care and health.
Well, it is health, it's health.
It's as in health sector of the doctors' hospitals.
Well, that's what.
Anyway, that's all I had to say, so thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Graham.
Thank you. It's just good to see that I asked for opportunity to apply for grants, because there was some, doubt that we'd be still getting money through. Yeah.
Any further, Councillor Tucker?
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Please don't just comment that I'm disappointed that we didn't get the 990,000 from the National Water Grid, because that was intended to be for a couple of the things that were going to be undertaken to improve water quality out of the CWT report. And so without being able to go ahead with those measures, it increases the potential for future dirty water problems. So, I assume at some point we're going to have to find some other grant or find some money ourselves to do that.
It increases our risk profiling, is where it would sit, yes.
Further discussion on this by councillors? Right, I put the recommendation. Right, a reply?
Yes, please. I just wanted to mention that Australian Government National Water Grid Authority one again, that wasn't us getting 990, that was 50% that we had to contribute of 990,000, which I find is extensively an amount that we would find it very tough.
I think the total was just under
190, 1,980,000.
Yeah, and we would have had to match the 990.
Yes.
But still, that's better than having to pay the whole 2 million. So
Yeah. Right, okay. I put the recommendation, all in favour? Yep. 14.7 is status update for August 2024. The recommendations report 14.7 is received this information. Move it, please. Councillor Hayden, seconder. Councillor Trimbar. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'm happy to move the recommendation. I did have a couple of questions. I'll just send them through to the general manager through the week.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Trimbar.
Thank you, I have no questions.
I just a couple, and I'll put maybe you update on some of those ones that I said.
Yes, through the chair, the former chair, when he was just a participant, sent through a couple of queries. The first one was in relation to the curbside garbage tender. It's currently with the Tech Services Director on the back of a number of waste things that we need to include, knowing that this could go for 5 years, and how do we then implement those sort of processes in a tender is something that we need to be aware of. The second one was around the independent living units, and have we come up with an alternate supply? At this point in time, that's working with a number of our health providers to see whether their expertise could be used, and that's just progressing at this point in time, nothing further. The report on the STP and our involvement with PWA and our concerns over that. That seems to be a little bit of a tic tac at this point in time. We say something and then they say something. Our project management expert is looking at preparing a detailed response to PWA as we speak, so that should be going in a minute. And the last one was an update on the contract for the engagement of Paragon, and I believe the document's been signed and we're off and running in that regard. So that was an update from Councillor McKibben before he was the chair.
Yeah, Councillor Tucker.
thank you, Mr. Chairperson. 2 questions or comments. I'm not really expecting an immediate answer in this first one. Page 362 and 363, residential land development. I'm assuming that if and when that goes ahead, that on the Dudley Street frontage, that would include construction of either curb and gutter or underground drainage or both down that Dudley Street side. And yet I noticed there's a whole lot of things where trees are going to be planted, which look to me as though they're right where I would have imagined the curb and gutter or the drainage would be. And I just want to make sure that we don't go and plant trees and a few months later have to go and rip them out if that can be.
Thank you, councillor. We'll make sure that that occurs accordingly.
Thank you. And my other one is page 371, Town Improvement Fund. I did send a query on email to in the near future relating to the Ross Queen Street intersection. But my request here is if we're going to have a working party discussion sometime in the next month, could we perhaps get a tentative program for this TI fund to show how they'll be delivered over the next 2 years?
Noted. Thank you.
Thank you. That was all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I put the recommendation. All in favour? Passed unanimously. We go to 14.8, which is the Waste Depot Weighbridge update. The recommendation is the report item 14.8 is received as information. Can I have a move it, please? Councillor Hayden, Councillor McCarthy, thank you. Councillor Hayden.
Yes, I'd like to say thank you for the report. I'm still disappointed that this has taken so long to get put in there. Thank you.
Councillor McCarthy.
Yes, I thought we'll get this in by December, but anyway, what I'd like to find out is, with the electricity, we went all the trouble of getting it through Rudders Ridge and all the rest of it. And I understand that through our tender process, we engaged several electricians to, electrical companies to do it. And what we've got out there isn't what others tendered for. In other words, didn't we ask for apples? And they feel that they've been let down as locals. They've done, they tendered for a fairly robust power supply. And what's been out there delivered is just an 80 amp 3-phase commercial power supply. So how did we get to this stage? Because I thought we had policies in place that state that when we put a document out there, and one of the highlights that first brought it was that one of the contractors submitted that they were going to do the trenching, and then it was told that the council would do the trenching. That started to ring alarm bells, but I thought we were asking for apples. What I believe one company's told us that he was asked to quote for isn't what's out at the tip at the moment.
So through the chair, it's one of the things I've asked our tech services director to try and find some information on. It's something that we're trying to follow up on. Because I'm of the understanding that should have been same for same. And if there has been some miscommunications, we need to acknowledge that if that's the case. One of the contractors that we had to engage it, I've asked for some information on what they quoted versus what they put in. And we're chasing that up, but this report is to where we're up to at this point in time.
So that will be further investigated.
We're still looking into that.
So you're saying the director will go back to the original specification?
RFT with you.
So we're gonna have a look at that to see what was and how that was processed.
I understand you've told us we haven't paid the current account. So where does that put us? That, you know, if this were and they were specified, or if they were told, we're happy with your quote by one of our employees, where does that leave us?
It's one of those things that we have to look at.
I think it's good. So there'll be a report will come back to council.
So what we need to look at first is what we specified.
Yes, what was in the RFT?
Thank
Your
you.
request for tender. So
Request was quite. Yeah, it wasn't a tent, yeah.
RFQ. Okay. All right, so we can provide a.
Yeah, so in the report, I think that, look, there, it is noted there's some slippage. But there has been acknowledgement of the slippage that's been caused here. There's been many different managers in that places, but we're trying to, what the tech services director indicated, but want to make sure that it's moved forward and it's moved forward quickly so as we can get this thing up and running.
But we know the external project manager's been appointed. Let's see if we can get that up by the end of the year.
Through the chair, that's been indicated, this has been undertaken due to the significant expertise that we've found along the way of the issues that we've been finding in this location.
Because the issues that have been identified and need to be resolved.
Correct.
Right, so you will cut that, so you will come back to us with a report on this too.
As I said before, the updates will be provided in this regard to keep council on track as to where it's up to. I think it's one of those ones that has slipped along and we need to make sure that we're on top of that.
Okay. You happy with that, Councillor Compton?
Not really, because, we have a, what do you call it, in place, document in place that when we go out to tender. It's the same.
Request a quote, was a quote, request a quote.
That's right, it was identical and it's happened, so I'm not happy. But anyway, I'll accept the report.
Well, I think the general manager's acknowledged that there have been some issues with this, and he's asked the technical services director to look into this. And part of the issue is putting an external project manager to get the project on, but at the same time, the technical services director will look into it. As I understand what you're saying, that is exactly what I said.
What I'm saying is we have policies in place and then the policies are broken.
And that's why the investigation is occurring as part of that. Any further discussion on this matter? I'll put the recommendation, all in favour. Item 15 is urgent business. I understand there's no urgent business, so we move to 16. Closed session confidential reports. In accordance with the Local Government Act 1993 and the Local Government General Regulation 2005, in the opinion of the General Manager, the business outlined in 16.1, 16.2 and 16.3 is the kind as referred to in section 10A2 of the Act and should be dealt with in a part of the meeting closed to the media and public. Can I have someone move us into confidential, please? Councillor Hayden, second, please. Councillor Trembar, all in favour? I ask that the recording cease. Thank you very much, Peter. We'll see that. And members of the public. You councillors and members of the public. Been moved back into normal session. Whilst in confidential, the following resolutions were passed by council. 16.1 Oberon sewage treatment plant update. It was council resolved. The council acknowledged the updated report on the preparation for negotiations for the construction contract for the replacement sewage treatment plant. 16.2, which is the net waste tender for collection and recycling of used mattresses. Council resolved that council endorsed net waste tender F4121 for the collection and recycling of used mattresses be awarded to JLW Proprietary Limited for their tender price set out in the report for an initial 2-year term with the option of 2 12-month extensions and 2 delegate authority to the general manager to execute the contract. Item 16.3.1. Beryl Minute, General Manager's Performance Review. The council resolved it is in 5 parts. 1. Council receive and note the Sync Solutions Confidential General Manager Performance Review Panel's report for 2023-24. 2. Note the General Manager's performance for the review period as determined by the Performance Review Panel was to a highly effective standard for 4 key result areas and to an effective standard for 3 key result areas, resulting in a better than satisfactory performance outcome, and also noted the differing views arising from several councillors not on the review panel. It was a roll for 3. The council offered the general manager on the existing terms of employment and remuneration a new contract of employment consistent with the standard contract of employment for general managers issued by the Office of Local Government for a period of 5 years effective from 14th of August 2025. And resolution 4 was to receive and note the performance agreement for 2024-25 period. And resolution 5, delegate the mayor the authority to finalise and sign all relevant documentation as required. I note that the next meeting of this council will be on Tuesday, the 15th of October 2024, commencing at 5:30 p.m. And that will be following the election of a new council on the 14th of September. And that 14th of council to the 24. I, as the chairman of this meeting and deputy mayor, would like to thank all councillors and staff for all their work during the period. I've enjoyed working with everyone, and I'm sure, I hope, and it has been a privilege to work with the staff and with councillors for this term, and I thank you all very much. I know that it is now, and the mayor may also like to say something. I'll give you the opportunity if you would like to, Councillor Callum.
No, thanks, Andrew. I echo your words. We have had our differences of opinion, but the answer to all of that is look at the record of what we have achieved during this very short term of council. 2 years and 9 months is not very long, and we've packed an awful lot into it, and we've achieved a great deal. And that's because when we come down to it, basically we aim at the same objectives, and we've made that happen. And with the wonderful support of all of our staff.
Thank you.
So I wish you all those who are standing again, I wish you well. And I'll look at the October 15 meeting with interest.
Thank you. With nothing further, I declare this meeting closed at 8:45. Sorry? 8:45 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.